Hey, good evening, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Life Inspired. My very, very dear friend TJ Jorgensen is in the house.
I am in the house. I'm always in the house.
You're always in the house. You're just usually on the other side.
I am.
So thank you for sitting on the couch with us today.
This is different. You know, for so long, I prayed about it and I thought about it. And we talked about this even back to episode 2.
And, I know. I wanted you.
Yeah, and I said, we'll see when the time is right. When God says
right.
the time, and He just said something. He said, get off that chair and go sit in that couch.
Go sit on that couch. Okay, so for our first-time viewers, what we're going to talk about with TJ is we have 3 questions we're going to ask him. So we're always talking about turning points and God stepping in and intervening and turning someone's trajectory to a new path, a new inspired walk. So that's what we're going to ask TJ. What was life like going along before some particular ... and then God moment in your life, and then now how you're walking inspired. So tell us some backstory. I don't know if I know what you're going to share.
I'm going to keep it condensed.
Okay.
And with the exception of some people that may know who I am. A lot of people don't know my backstory. My sister and I were just us 2 siblings, and my mother were very poor, just my mother and us 2, raised in Benton Harbor. And my mom worked really hard. She worked very, very hard. She worked 5 jobs to try to put food on the table, and we still had food stamps and government cheese and things like that. It was really tough life. I remember at some point sleeping on a ground floor, an actual dirt floor.
Wow. This is in America.
I know.
Not that long ago.
This is here in our Michiana area.
Right.
And things were tough, but my mother was such a wonderful person. She kept instilling God is in our life, and we'll pray every night, and we'll pray every morning, and God will provide. That's what she kept saying. And the provision was limited, but He kept us safe. He kept a roof over our house. Sometimes those roofs were shelters. Sometimes they were friends' houses. Sometimes they were beds with 4 or 5 people in them, so we could have a roof. But God always provided. He always kept us a place. We would continue growing up like that until it was about 7th grade. I think it was 8th grade. My mom met an awesome guy, and we moved to Berrien Springs, which would become my home for the next several years, and kind of got us out of that element. And I got into school, started getting into some sports, and started paying attention a little bit more. As like a lot of young teenagers, I'm not saying all, but some teenagers, they get distracted with life. Here, try this. So, hey, come with us here. Oh, there's nothing wrong with doing that. And I did that a little bit. Nothing too severe, but I did it. And it started to pull me away a little bit. But my mom was there to say, now, Ted, I used to go by Ted. A lot of people don't know that. Ted is my real name. That's a fact. Ted is my real name.
Ted.
Ted is my real name.
I've always wondered what TJ stood for.
Ted is my real name.
Now, Ted.
My wife says, that's what my mom does now, Ted. But my wife says that if I introduced myself as Ted, she never would have dated me. So funny story. But anyway, my mother would say, Ted, you got to keep your eye focused and keep God in the front. And I tried. But growing up as a teenager, especially in our home, it was tough.
Well, and she's a woman telling you that, and guys need to learn from guys.
I know.
So you thought, you girls need that, I need guy stuff.
Exactly. And even though I had that guy kind of in our life, he wasn't, that stepdad or even definitely father type of material. But he tried, he tried to do what he could. Hung out with some wrong people, and it was until I met my girlfriend when I was 17 that I was getting into some wrong things. And I was with somebody who committed a crime that put me in the place with them, and that got me in trouble, and it got me landed in jail.
Wow. At 17?
Yeah, at 17, 18 years old, somewhere in that range, and it was really tough.
I did not know that.
I was scared. I was like a little boy. That was like 8-year-old boy coming out of me again. But I remember being so scared, and because of what it was, of the kind of theft that it was a situation where there was no bond for a few days, and no matter if my mom could borrow money to get me out, she couldn't. So I was stuck in this cold, dark area with a bunch of criminals that were scary. And I tried to be tough, tried to act tough, but inside I was scared to death. And I would pray, and I would pray, and I would pray, and nothing would happen. I kept praying. I kept my faith strong. I was reading the Bible like crazy. And that's funny because it seems like the people that are in jail, it's like, oh, you come to God now when you have nothing else left. Where were you when you're on the outside? So I love that people that are in jail and people serving prison sentences are serving and they're glorifying God and everything. But when you get out, show me that as well, because that's going to make your journey even stronger. So as I was doing all this, I was praying to God. And then one night I was on my cot area and I was having a panic attack. So they moved me to an area where the doctor could keep an eye on me. It was just anxiety. But it was an overpacked area. Jails were overflowing. And they put me in a cell with another guy. And it was just a one big cell with one bed. So I slept underneath. I put a mat they gave me, I slept underneath. I had my Bible when I was reading. I came out and was talking to the guy a little bit, and he had a little bit of mental challenges with him and everything. He didn't speak well. His teeth were all gone, probably from drugs or whatever. And I said, do you know anything about the Bible? And he says, in his slurred bad talk, he said, I serve down here. I'm like, well, if you ever want to talk a little bit more about someone bigger than that, I'd love to share that with you.
Like this guy, your prison cellmate, was serving Satan.
Yes, that's what he said. And
wow.
So I was scared of him. I was acting like I didn't, but I was scared to death of him. I went back under sleep underneath my bunk and had my Bible, close to my arms. But, when you're sleeping, if you ever fall asleep with the phone in your hand, next thing you know, it's on the floor. So I woke up and my Bible wasn't right by me. Remember, I'm under this bed. And then I was kind of reaching for it. When you're in jail, your Bible is all you have. Your Bible, maybe some food or whatever.
The fact that they even let you have that is miraculous,
yeah,
right?
It was really cool. The chaplain there was very nice. And this is 30 years ago. I barely remember much of it. But this stood out to me so strong. I woke up and I saw him sitting on the bed reading the Bible. Wow. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I just went back under my cot, went back to sleep. I woke up the next morning and I asked him, I said, hey, did you